Good morning, good afternoon, people in Florida, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. Good morning to the West Coast people. It is Ripper here. We are going to look at some actual videos today of experts talking about this case. But before I get into it, I want to talk about what's on your screen. If you don't know, you can make a phone call to Montgomery County and make a complaint. You can make a call there. You can go there and file a complaint to have these people right this wrong. It's one of your rights as an American citizen. So we're going to get into that, not today, but probably next week. And we are going to make some noise. After you watch these videos today, I don't think there's any question as to what really happened during that wreck, or at the wreck, before the wreck. Let me get this off the screen here. I was sent these videos last night. I heard that they existed, but you know, you hear things and you always wonder, do they really exist? Can it be this good? Can what this person is telling me actually live up to my expectations or the hype that they're building? I think when you're done watching these videos, and there's six of them, and they're short clips, a minute, 2 minutes. There might be one that's almost 3 minutes long. These are just short clips of longer videos. And when I watched them, it really made me upset, and I'm still upset. I have so much to do this week out here at the place that I don't have time for this, but I think it's really important that you all see what's in these videos, because there is someone sitting in prison that should have never been put there. And I think the prosecution knew it. I think the cops knew it, and I think they're the ones that actually started the whole process. I think someone made a decision at the crime scene, and they took advantage of a drunk girl who was a passenger in a vehicle. And now you have someone out there that actually killed two people. Of course, this is my opinion. That killed two people and is free. It's not right. So we need to make some noise. We need to contact the DA's office. We need to contact the governor in Texas. We need to start making noise and tell these people that, hey, we know what happened. We know what's happening there, and you need to fix this ASAP. And next week sometime, I'll make a short video with some of what I think are important details. And we'll use that video to send to all of our media contacts. We're going to send it to everyone. We want people to see this. We need outside media to get involved. I checked my phone. I have people coming out today. As you guys know, I did the video a while back about the gate, and there's a part 2. I just haven't had time to edit the video of the gate, but this weekend we spent all weekend working on the dam. Let me get caught up on the chat, and then I'll show you a little clip of what I did over the weekend, what I'm doing all week, which is going to delay me in getting this stuff done, but that doesn't mean you all have to wait. So let me get caught up on the chat real quick. I saw Peggy was in here first. Good morning, Peggy. Wow. We have the free Nicole Baukus YouTube channel already here. Second person. That's pretty good. I like when people are active in the cause. And I really like it when people work together. That's how it should be. You should have a bunch of people working together. Even though they have a YouTube channel, some people would say, oh, they're a competitor of yours. No, stuff like this, no, everybody needs to work together. That was one of the things in the Don Lewis case that really delayed us for a while is everybody taking stuff and running with it and acting like they were doing their own thing to try to, I don't want to get into that. But anyway, I like that they are here right off the bat. All right. Good morning, Sherry, Demetrius. Hey, Sean. Hey, there's a plant queen, Miranda. Jinxie's here. Hey, what's up, Nosy? All right, good. T1's here so we can have some humor. And all right, I'm just gonna get right into it. Start playing these clips. If here we go, right here. Yeah, a dirty group that conspired to get a fast and easy conviction. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I agree 100%. That's this morning I had a conversation with someone, Peggy, and that's what I was wondering also. The cop that said, you know, did she have a sock on or whatever it was they said, and then they turned right around and said, yes, she was driving. That whole that thing right there is just weird. T1, it's 6 videos, not 12. And yes, I'm going to show them all, but they're short. They're just clips taken from the longer videos. But I was going to just cut them down into little 10-second clips. But no, there's too much information even in the 1-2 minute clips. All right, I'm going to play this first one. Oh, hey, before I do that, I'm just going to show you guys something real quick before I do that. Because I did have people texting me over the weekend, calling and that kind of stuff, but I was super busy all weekend. And as soon as I'm done here, which I'm going to try to limit this to 40 minutes, I've got to go back and get this stuff done. T1, what are you talking about? You see double. I was talking. You're a funny guy. All right. I'll just show you real quick because those of you that watched the video about the gate that was put in, it was put in so that we could get equipment like this. Nope, hold on here. Into the place. So you see, there's our small pond at our cottage, and right there is the old place that got washed out on the dam. You remember how bad it was. There's a big, I don't know, those fence posts are 13 feet apart, so probably a 20-foot breach, and that pond is 28 feet deep, so it had to be fixed. So my weekend was spent doing this, and then we put in a new spillway, which I did do video, of course. As you're watching this, you see me supervising again. And you see that we're putting the spillway in over here. I don't know how high it is, but it's pretty high. So anyway, that's what I did the weekend. That's what I'm going to be doing all week. It's not what I want to do, but it's got to be done. All right, let me get to this right here. I'm going to play this clip. Actually, before I do that, I got to turn on the sound. Hey, Antonio, good question. There are blue cats, flatheads, crappie, bass, perch, basic fish that you find in the Midwest. All right, sound. Hey, Sherry, anytime. Let me know when. Anytime you want to come visit, feel free. And I'm serious. All right, this guy here, it's one thing for us let me pull this back just a little bit. It's one thing for us to sit here and listen to audio recordings, read transcripts slash affidavits and things like that, and come up with a theory. It's one thing for us to do it because we're armchair detectives and we are certified by the Global Federation of Armchair Detectives. So that means we're really good. Some of you don't understand that, but anyway, this guy, well, I'll let you listen to his qualifications. Let me make sure you can hear it first.
Specific issue, and that was
Back here.
I was asked to look at.
All right, can you guys hear that? I just want to make sure you guys can hear it before I play it. See? It's true. We're certified. All right, you guys can hear it. Great. All right, so let me start it over. This one is 50 seconds long.
I was asked to look at a specific issue, and that was she the driver or was she the right front passenger during a fatal crash? I found when I reviewed the medical records and the radiological studies that she had two injuries that were relevant. Number one, she had a injury to a muscle called the left internal oblique muscle, which is down in the left lower quadrant of the abdomen around where the hip bone is.
All right, you all remember last week when we were looking at the picture of the injury. If you weren't here, go back and watch. I think it was one of the first things we looked at. But you remember there was a medical report from that injury that was taken within hours of the wreck or that night. But it was that night. That's what he's talking about right here, which for us to see it and talk about it is one thing. But for this guy to do it, pretty convincing to me.
She also had multiple fractures to her left foot, specifically to her third through fifth metatarsal bones, which are the long bones that are immediately in front of the toes. In addition to the injuries that I saw demonstrated on the radiological studies and in the medical records, there was also a notable lack of injury that would typically be caused by an airbag deployment. And in Ms. Baukus's vehicle, only the airbag on the driver's side had deployed. This typically leaves some evidence of interaction with the occupant, and that can be a transfer of DNA, it can be bodily fluids on the airbag itself. It can also lead to injuries to the occupant, and those are things like facial fractures, contusions, injury to the neck or to the chest from the deployment of the airbag. In this particular case, notably, all of those were absent. So the fact that the injury to her lower abdomen was on the left side was most consistent with the presence of the buckle being on the left side, which was more supportive of her being in the right front passenger seat. In summary, after my analysis of the medical, the engineering data, and the other pieces of data provided by witnesses, my conclusion was that Ms. Baukus was seated in the right front passenger seat at the time of the accident. And I reached these conclusions based on a reasonable degree of both medical and engineering certainty. I was asked to look at a specific.
Sounds pretty convincing to me. Of course, we sat here for what, 4.5 hours last week, and we listened to audio from the scene where Nicole actually said she was the passenger. She named Canvas as the driver. There were other witnesses at the scene telling the cops she was the passenger. And then you have this guy here who is qualified beyond, I mean, you can't question his qualifications, saying the same thing. The injuries that she had make it appear that she was the passenger. And I don't know if you all looked up any of the airbag injuries. Remember I told you go look up airbag injuries, and I didn't want to show them on here because they were too graphic. He brings that up where he's talking about the airbag. If you look at her mugshot, and actually I was sent a shot of her that night, and she had plenty of mascara. I mean, she was done up. There should have been something on the airbag, something. But no injuries except to that left part, lower left part, which where your seatbelt buckle would be. And then her foot, her left foot. If this guy was the only guy saying this stuff, for me, that would be enough. But there's more. All right, hey, what's up, Linda? All right, let's see. T1, I don't know if there's any pictures of him after the fact. I don't know if, I would assume he went into hiding. That's my guess. He would have gotten out of there, and being that he was pretty street smart and had been in trouble with the law before, he would know what to do and what not to do. And if you have injuries, last thing you want to do is go out and about and be in front of people that can see these injuries that you have, especially when the next day on the news you're finding out that 2 people were killed. You're going to go into hiding until all of that stuff heals up. There's probably someone, though, that saw him and saw the injuries. There's probably someone out there that did see it. And maybe we need to get billboards set up down there and ask for witnesses to come forward that have not come forward yet or that may have seen him. I don't know. Something's got to be done, though. Something has to be done, and we do not want to wait for... We don't want to go through the whole court process and wait. We need to get something done because this is pretty blatant. This is a horrible wrongful conviction. Like, make sure these people aren't... all right, they're not. I got rock being delivered today. I got to make sure when they get here I can get them in. All right, here's a good question by Franz. What's up, BJ? I don't know if there's a picture of that or not. I'm going to assume there is, but I was told there was not a blood trail from the truck to that puddle, because I did ask if she was bleeding and her sock and shoe was off when she climbed out of the passenger seat. There should have been blood somewhere in the truck, but I was told there wasn't any blood trail from the driver's seat over through the passenger seat. But I bet there's probably a picture of that, but I'm not sure. Oh. All right, as soon as we get that picture, I will put it up here. How great is this? How great is this? Someone asks a question and then we're going to get it here. I love that. All right, Campus told the assistant district attorney that he had pictures of him right after the accident, but never turned any over. Also, he told them this 5-6 years earlier. He never gave any photos of him after the accident. All right, so he told them, all right, that I'm guessing this means he told them 5 or 6 years after the accident. All right. All right. 5, 6 years later. Oh, okay. I got it. I got it. Yeah. All right. Let me get to the next video. Now, this one, make sure I got the right one. All right. You remember the affidavit that we read of Arness, the guy that drove right by, and he's one of the witnesses that said he saw Nicole sitting in the passenger side, but he didn't see a driver. This is him on video talking about what he saw and the case. Let me see if I got this email. All right, not yet. Now, this guy owns a church and is a preacher. So I'm going to trust him 100%. I did already, though. When I read the affidavit and then you compare that to the injuries, you listen to the recordings at the scene where people are saying she was the passenger. And I believed it when I read the affidavit. But knowing a little bit more about him now, without a doubt, this guy is telling the truth. All right, let me play that. All right, what do we got here? I'm going to guess this has already been done, but it might not have been. But I'm guessing it was already done. Good idea if it hasn't been done. All right, let me get this next video. Sound. All right, this is the guy that was driving down the road. He saw the truck parked on the shoulder, and then Canvas pulled right out in front of him, and they just, this is the guy that said he could have reached out and touched the mirror.
But the key points of what I seen was this girl wasn't driving. This other girl was missing a limb. And there was somebody else somewhere that we were looking for, me and the fireman. Somebody else, and somebody else there said that they seen somebody.
I'm going to play that again. Him and the firemen are looking for someone else there.
And there was somebody else somewhere that we were looking for, me and the fireman. This other girl was missing. This girl wasn't driving. This other girl was missing a limb. And there was somebody else somewhere that we were looking for, me and the fireman. Somebody else, and somebody else.
When he's talking about the girl missing a limb in the Chevrolet, the smaller car that was hit, there was an arm missing off the person, and him and the firemen were actually out looking for that limb. But in that process, they were also looking for the driver of the truck, which was not Nicole.
Of what I seen was this girl wasn't driving. This other girl was missing a limb. And there was somebody else somewhere that we were looking for, me and the fireman. Somebody else, and somebody else there said that they seen somebody run across. So I'm processing all this, and I'm just like, man, this ain't good. I was like, I know what I seen. And then, at first, when I told the cops there that she wasn't driving, it was like, it's no way possible. But the angle that I had, you could clearly see in the vehicle. A lot of people didn't believe me at first, but it's true. The angle with my truck sitting up so high, looking down at that spacing we had is a perfect clear view. Because if it was the driver, it would have been right beside me. This girl was all the way across the truck. And it's just, I don't know, it's tough what happened, but from my perspective and what I seen, she was in the passenger seat.
if you're watching this guy, you can tell that this bothers him. You can clearly see he's bothered by the whole thing. Sometimes when, like the Ryan Ferguson case, some of those witnesses, when they were framing Ryan, when the old man was talking about what he saw, he didn't have any emotions. It was just, yeah, this is what I saw, Ryan and his buddy, blah, blah, blah. If you listen to this guy and you watch him, he's not making up a story. This is real, and he's bothered by it. And we all should be bothered by this whole thing.
The angle with my truck sitting up so high, looking down at that spacing we had is a perfect clear view, because if it was the driver, it would have been right beside me. This girl was all the way across the truck. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's tough what happened, but from my perspective and what I've seen, she was in the passenger seat. That's basically what it boiled down to. It's the DA Andrew James. He basically said that because of the facts that's in the case with her having to be in the driver's seat, he basically said what I was telling him was that she wasn't. She was in the passenger seat. She didn't do none of this that they were saying. And he was like, well, basically you can't testify that she wasn't driving, because the fact of the matter is she was driving. Something about her shoe was in.
Prosecutors telling this guy what he has to testify to. Where's the justice in that? This is what you have to testify to. This is what he's really saying is, this is what you need to say. And that's wrong.
With her having to be in the driver's seat, he was in the passenger seat. That's basically what it boiled down to. It's the DA Andrew James. He basically said that because of the facts that's in the case with her having to be in the driver's seat, he basically said what I was telling him was that she wasn't. She was in the passenger seat. She didn't do none of this that they were saying. And he was like, well, basically you can't testify that she wasn't driving, because the fact of the matter is she was driving. Something about her shoe was in the driver's seat. And I told him, I was like, that's not true. I was like, I've seen her in the passenger seat. And he goes, well, before you get up there, just know that the facts are this. And I said, well, just know that I'm gonna say what I seen, and that's just what it is, or I don't have to go up there. And he was just like, there's no way possible what you seen. Facts are that she was driving. And I was like, well, facts must be wrong, because I know what I seen. And like I said, basically, he didn't want.
I'm going to tell you, it's not easy for people to stand up against these corrupt people. It's not easy at all. So for this guy to actually testify as to what he saw and not cave in, that's pretty rare these days. I hate to say that, but it is, because like the Sean Ellis case, we know from the Sean Ellis case that the prosecutors went after his girlfriend and made her testify a certain way, and then they threatened her taking her kids. So for this guy to stand up to that kind of bullshit, that's, I hate to say it's rare these days, but it seems to be.
I couldn't testify that I seen her in a passenger seat. They wanted me to testify that I seen her driving the truck. Nicole's innocence, or that she was driving. And I was like, well, facts must be wrong, because I know what I seen. And like I said, basically, he didn't want me to, I couldn't testify that I seen her in a passenger seat. They wanted me to testify that I seen her driving the truck. Nicole's innocence is to them like it opens up a can of worms. Like somebody didn't do their job right. It's gonna be cops thrown under the bus, this and this. It's like it's just better to keep everybody's mouth shut. But the key,
He's exactly right. When this finally gets exposed, there will be some people that need to be held accountable. Will they be? It rarely ever happens. But of course we're not even there yet. We're not there. We're at the point where we got to get national media to give this some attention. Yeah, Nosy, you're in Texas. Go down there and find the guy. All right, give me a sec. I'm going to pull up this email and see what we have here. I'm thinking it's our picture of the blood puddle. All right, let's see here. All right, anybody gets queasy from looking at blood, you might not want to look. It's not real bad, but it's still, it's blood. It's not real bad, Nosy, but it's still, some people just see the sight of blood and they, pass out. All right, so here's my question. When they got there, is this where they had her sit down right over in this area? Look at all these blood drops. There's these droplets here. There's puddle here. I saw over here another one. I think that's blood. This could be blood over here. I'm not certain if that is or if that's just water. It looks like there's some water on the road. However, this is definitely blood over here. Is that, hold on, is that a footprint? Is that a footprint of blood right there? Oh, those are pennies. Okay. Well, some of them are, but I think this right here, that's definitely a droplet because there's splatter. I think that's a blood droplet, right? It has splatter on it. But maybe it's not. But yeah, I can see now those are coins. I'll get to the second picture. With the blood there in this puddle, this blood here, that's quite a bit of blood. If you're coming from the driver's side and you're climbing over the passenger seat, you would expect to see some blood somewhere. Unless she just stopped bleeding from that point, and then when she got out here, she just started up again. I guess that's what they want us to believe. All right, let me get this second picture up. Yeah, the angle on this one, I see. Oh, here's another one. I didn't see this in the first picture right over here. Is some more blood. And I think I've put on my glasses. Hold on, let me get myself off this screen here. I didn't know I had that on there. Yeah, I think that is a penny over here. I thought it was a blood splatter, but I actually think that is a penny as well because it does have a dark spot. But definitely right here is enough blood to make you think, especially with the sock, the bloody sock, if she actually took the sock off, which we know she did not take it off in the vehicle because she had her shoes on in the video when Reavers pulls up. But even if, I mean, I hate to even say even if it was true because we know it's not. If it was true, there would have been blood elsewhere in that vehicle. But there wasn't. I mean, what do you guys think? What are you all thinking right now after hearing, one witness who says she was the passenger, he saw her as the passenger, and then you have this doctor saying her injuries are not what you would see if someone was sitting in the driver's seat. Her injuries correlate with someone in the passenger seat. I mean, what are you guys thinking right now? Right here. Yeah, this for the state's theory to be true, Nicole's shoe and sock had to come off on impact, and the sock was soaked. Bleeding stopped and then magically started again on the pavement. And if, let's just say, we're not smart and we're going to believe her shoes and sock or shoe and sock came off on impact. Did she just have, like, as soon as the impact hit, all of a sudden a bunch of blood just squirted out of that area and then stopped as she crawled out of the vehicle? So within hundredths of a second, her sock just comes off and it's got blood all over it. And her foot stops bleeding. It's it's not even believable. Leave it up to Nosy to spot the bartender's bottle opener. Nosy probably has a couple of them in her pocket right now, I bet. I'm just kidding. So she was a bartender at another place. And I've seen people have these as key rings also. But that's not the case here. Yeah, Nosy has at least 50. And I totally believe that. All right. Prints, blood, anything. Let me get to the DNA guy. Let's get to the video with the DNA expert. Let me pull that one up. We'll just maybe answer your questions with this guy.
My degrees, I have an undergraduate degree in biology from Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. I have a PhD also in biology from Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now, based on the results of the Bodie Cellmark lab from the YSTR testing, a prosecutor saying that there was no comparable profile for any male on any of the evidence items collected in that truck is simply patently wrong. Were you to have a bloody sock outside the car and then transfer it back into the car, I might say toss it. Anything that it would make contact with would now have very likely a substantial, very easily genetically profilable amount of her DNA that was deposited there as a result of the reintroduction of the sock into the car, not because it was deposited from her directly. So we'll say at the time of the wreck. It would be just, I tossed it in there, it bounced against this object, and again, with a bloody sock, you can expect almost a smear, but I mean, small amounts would be undeniably of no relevance anymore. You would actually have to be able to show that that had gotten there prior to the sock being introduced back into the car. Now we go back as how did it get on that airbag? And might this explain, for example, the fact that it's blood when it's not obvious why you would have blood there? And two, it doesn't seem to be in a location that would be because you were there at the time, at the exact moment the airbag deployed right in front of it. It's off to the side and low. And it's blood, and there's nothing bleeding over there. And now we have a very easy explanation. It transferred there from something else. We even have the source, the sock.
I'm going to play that one again. There's a lot in that little short clip where it's 2 minutes long. There's a lot in there. But how the blood, there was some blood on the airbag, but as he said, not where you would expect it to be. If you were the driver of the vehicle, not where it should be. It was someplace else. Yes, there was a passenger airbag, but it did not go off. And in the documents, there's an expert that talks about that actual make and model vehicle. I think you have to weigh 105 pounds for the safety switch to go off so that the airbag will work. And Nicole weighed 106 pounds. And if you're not sitting exactly right, like if it's 105 and you weigh 105, if you're not sitting in the exact proper way, that sensor might not go off. So the passenger, that's right, she did not weigh enough. Yeah. And she could have been sitting with her legs crossed, or she could have been, doing something. No, we know that there was tissue that they tested for DNA on the armrest on the passenger side that matched Nicole. So she could have been leaning over to the side of the vehicle, and then your weight would not be, all your weight would not be on that sensor. I know, right? The transfer DNA is very telling. So I'm going to play this one again because I think this is pretty important what this guy is saying. Oh, okay, perfect. So it was 110 pounds, not 105. Great, wonderful. Yeah, okay. So if anyone wants to join the Nicole Baukus research group, can one of the moderators put the link in there, please? And we can get some other people in the group. I don't know how many are in there. I just didn't have time this weekend to actually look into anything at all. It's just busy. I got to get this stuff done while the equipment's out here. All right, I'm going to play this one more time. This guy's video here.
My degrees, I have an undergraduate degree in biology from Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. I have a PhD also in biology from Harvard University.
John Hopkins, that'd be enough. But then add in Harvard too. This guy's legit. This guy's one of the top.
In Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now, based on the results of the Bodie Cellmark lab from the YSTR testing, a prosecutor saying that there was no comparable profile for any male on any of the evidence items collected in that truck is simply patently wrong. Were you to have a bloody sock outside the car and then transfer it back into the car, I might say toss it. Anything that it would make contact with would now have very likely a substantial, very easily genetically profilable amount of her DNA that was deposited there as a result of the reintroduction of the sock into the car, not because it was deposited from her directly. So we'll say at the time of the wreck. It would be just, I tossed it in there, it bounced against this object, and again, with a bloody sock, you can expect almost a smear, but I mean, small amounts would be undeniably of no relevance anymore. You would actually have to be able to show that that had gotten there prior to the sock being introduced back into the car. Now we go back as how did it get on that airbag? And might this explain, for example, the fact that it's blood when it's not obvious why you would have blood there? And two, it doesn't seem to be in a location that would be because you were there at the time, at the exact moment the airbag deployed, right in front of it. It's off to the side and low, and it's blood, and there's nothing bleeding over there. And now we have a very easy explanation. It transferred there from something else. We even have the source, the sock.
Peggy brings up a good question. You would think that there would be fingerprints, hair fibers, something belonging to Candace Duran. And maybe there was. But when you have law enforcement planting evidence at a crime scene, there's certain things that you don't want to be uncovered, which would be fingerprints, DNA, those kind of things. So once you figure out that something's been planted, you question everything. So maybe there was his DNA in there, but maybe we never got to find out about it because something happened to it. I don't know. But once there's one little thing done, like planting the keys in Stephen Avery's bedroom, once that one thing done is you question everything. And this, maybe there was, but maybe they took that stuff and threw it away. And, I mean, it's hard to say. Or maybe it was never turned over. I would think so too, especially a wreck. You would think that there would be something, but you would also think that if there were witnesses telling someone that she was a passenger in the car, that they wouldn't charge her with the crime they charged her with. You would think that if there was enough evidence to show she was the passenger in the car, she wouldn't be charged and convicted, but she was. Yeah, but Carol and Vernon wiped it down. We know they wiped it down because Dale's fingerprints were on the dash of that thing. But his fingerprints weren't on the steering wheel, the door, or anything. So we know Carol and her dad wiped that van down. I mean, of course, you already know that. Nor would they want to collect those other things. They're not going to want to collect things that could disprove their theory. That's exactly right. Exactly right. All right, let me get to. Hey, let me do this one. Well, yeah. The girl that was the passenger in the truck that passed, not Nicole, the passenger, but the Arness Buchanan, the guy that was driving that saw Nicole in the passenger seat. This was his date the night. Keeley. She was the passenger in his vehicle. Let's listen to hers. So as we're talking about corruption.
So I do remember my conversation with Andrew James. Basically, he wanted me and Ernest to
Now, remember Andrew James, prosecutor.
with Andrew James. Basically, he wanted me and Ernest to disagree about what we saw inside of the truck the night of the accident. So I do remember that Andrew, whenever we were discussing about what was seen inside of the vehicle, he was very adamant about me. He did not want me to say that I agreed with Jay about him seeing a female as a passenger in the truck. Basically, he wanted me to tell the jury what he wanted us to have contradicting statements, really.
I'm going to play that again. And I watched these last night. I watched them this morning. I just find it totally ridiculous that this prosecutor is trying to tell these witnesses how to testify. He's like trying to alter their testimony.
So I do remember my conversation with Andrew James. Basically, he wanted me and Ernest to disagree about what we saw inside of the truck the night of the accident. So I do remember that Andrew, whenever we were discussing about what was seen inside of the vehicle, he was very adamant about me. He did not want me to say that I agreed with Jay about him seeing a female as a passenger in the truck. Basically, he wanted me to tell the jury what he wanted us to have contradicting statements, really.
This is why we need to make some noise. This is why we need to redress our grievances with this county. This is unacceptable. This kind of action by an assistant prosecutor, anyone, if you're the attorney for the defendant, this kind of activity is uncalled for, and it needs to be addressed. Andrew James wanted her to discredit Arness Buchanan. She actually did not see inside the truck, but James asked her to say she saw one person, a driver. That is trying to alter testimony of a witness, I think. That's just not good. Not good. And why would you do that? If you have a good enough case, you don't have to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, this right here. I'm not even going to say anything, but okay, let's do it. Oh, all right, let me pull up. It really is T1 for Nicole herself to be sitting in prison, but also for the families of the victims, because the families are not getting justice. And I've heard that law enforcement and the prosecutors became good friends with the victims' families. Now, that's what you want to do. If you're going to try to cover something up, you need those people close to you, like Carol Baskin did with Candy after Candy got attacked. Nobody heard from Candy. Carol was speaking for Candy, but Carol is protecting Candy and keeping her close because Candy would have one hell of a lawsuit against Carol. So this team of corrupt people, law enforcement, prosecutors, befriended these families, and they're going to keep them right under their wing and feed them the bull because they need this family to believe, or these families to believe, their stories. If that family turns on law enforcement or the prosecutors, it's going to be really bad. It's going to look really bad. And then the media will report on that for sure. So they're going to keep these people really close to them. And speaking of Carol Baskin, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to make some videos. And this is a different subject, but I have to bring it up. I have uncovered in Texas the next Carol Baskin. And I am not kidding. The same tactics that Carol has used, this person in Texas is doing. And I've got a ton of information of things that this guy in Texas has been doing to other people. There's even a big fight over a logo like Joe and Carol had. It's uncanny. But I'm going to be making a video in 2 to 3 weeks showing you all the next Carol Baskin. All right, let me keep going. I just had to put that out there. Chat. I agree with you. And it only takes, really, I was thinking this morning, how many people do we really need to make noise? It only takes 4 or 5 people to get the ball rolling, to get the noise started. But once they find out what's happening, I'm hoping that they will do the right thing sooner than later. Because you know how it goes. When things starts being uncovered, and then I don't want to go into details, but you're right. It will affect more than just the people involved. It goes beyond that. And I don't think that's what I don't think they want to be in a mess like that. But that's all I'll say. But yeah, it only takes 4 or 5 people to do what we need to do. But it's going to be more than that, because you guys can clearly see this is wrong. What was done to Nicole Baukus is 1,000% wrong. And it needs to be fixed. All right. Let me get this one here. All right, go back here. These videos are great. They're great for getting me mad.
Ms. Baukus' injuries were not consistent with being the driver of a motor vehicle. The angular nature of the collision would dictate that she would hit the driver's side airbag or go to the left side of the driver airbag and receive a head injury, which she did not have. In addition, she had no dust from the airbag on her. She had no resin from the airbag system on her. Of course, the driver's side airbag did deploy, so I would have expected to have found those type of injuries on her. Her injury was limited to her foot, which could have easily occurred in the passenger seat. We see drivers flee the scene of a crash quite often. It seems to be more often in later times than it used to be. But this was a very survivable crash on the part of the driver. This driver, this was a less than 40-mile-an-hour crash. And the driver had more than enough time to get out and flee the scene. I do not think that justice was served in this case. I don't think that the driver was properly identified, and it haunts me that we may have an innocent person spending time in the penitentiary for an offense that she did not commit.
Did you all see who this guy was? This guy right here. Texas Department of Public Safety, retired. He reconstructs crashes. And let's listen to what he
Driver
says
of a motor
again.
vehicle. The angular nature of the collision would dictate that she would hit the driver's side airbag or go to the left side of the driver airbag and receive a head injury, which she did not have. In addition, she had no dust from the airbag on her. She had no resin from the airbag.
If you're driving, the airbag goes off. You would, like he's talking about the airbag dust or that, you would think there'd be something. You would think that her makeup or mascara would be on the airbag. Nothing shows her in the driver's seat except for her shoes and a bloody sock, which we see in a video when Reavers pulls up on her feet. There's nothing that shows her in the driver's seat of this truck. Everything shows her as a passenger. And now he's talking about actual factual evidence that does not exist. This is so blatant. The whole setup is so blatant and wrong. And I just can't believe her public defender didn't see this.
In addition, she had no dust from the airbag on her. She had no resin from the airbag system on her. Of course, the driver's side airbag did deploy, so I would have expected to have found those type of injuries on her. Her injury was limited to her foot, which could have easily occurred in the passenger seat. We see drivers flee the scene of a crash quite often.
When he talks about this, I was watching videos late last night on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and look up idiot drivers or best of idiot drivers 2021. And there's these 15 to 20 minute videos where people are crashing and just doing stupid stuff, not paying attention. But sometimes they'll get in a wreck and they'll just drive off. One guy actually got out of the car, looked at the other car, got back in, and took off. People flee all the time. And that's what happened in this. Candace Duran ran from the scene after the wreck.
It seems to be more often in later times than it used to be. But this was a very survivable crash on the part of the driver. This driver, this was a less than 40 mile an hour crash. And the driver had more than enough time to get out and flee the scene. I do not think that justice was served in this case. I don't think that the driver was properly identified. And it haunts me that we may have an innocent person spending time in the penitentiary for an offense that she did not commit.
Yeah, does he really have an investment business? Where'd we go? Where'd that go? Does he have one? If he does, yeah, we should look into that. Joshua, welcome to my live stream. Thanks for being here. And your previous comment, trust me, if I'm not making videos about someone, that doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything. but I'm glad you're here. You gave me a good needed laugh because I'm frustrated with what has happened to Nicole Baukus. I'm really frustrated, and I needed a good laugh, and you gave me one. So thank you for that. All right, good. You guys are being good. All right, let me play this last video, and then I've got my guy bringing rock on the way. So I'm gonna have to go shortly because I gotta let him in because I got the place locked up like Fort Knox here. I can't have people just coming into the place out here. And not this week, but next week, I'll try to put a video together, a short video with some clips of these things and the animation. I want to do when Arness was talking in his video and he's describing what he saw. I would like to have that go along with the animation that we have showing, what he saw. So I would like to put some of that stuff together and make a short video that we can really use to make some loud noise to national media, because national media needs to get a hold of this thing and we need to expose these people.
So ultimately, my opinion based on the lack of injuries or expected injuries one would have from different positions in this vehicle, my opinion is that she would not have been seated in the driver's seat because of the lack of injuries she has that she would have had, and was seated in the passenger seat. I've investigated many crashes and been involved in many crashes where drivers who are the cause of the crash flee the scene. We have cases to where we've investigated, and immediately after the crash we'll have witnesses run over to the vehicle and find that there's not even anybody inside the vehicle. The driver's already fled in that short period of time. And I've talked about in this case how I feel that Nicole Baukus, in my opinion, was not the driver of the motor vehicle when this crash occurred. Of injuries she has vehicle would have from different positions in this, the lack of injuries or expected injuries one would have from different positions in this vehicle, my opinion is that she would not have been seated in the driver's seat because of the lack of injuries she has that she would have had, and was seated in the passenger seat. I've investigated many crashes and been involved in many crashes where drivers who are the cause of the crash flee the scene. We have cases to where we've investigated, and immediately after the crash we'll have witnesses run over to the vehicle and find that there's not even anybody inside the vehicle. The driver's already fled in that short period of time. And I've talked about in this case how I feel that Nicole Baukus, in my opinion, was not the driver of the motor vehicle when this crash occurred.
It doesn't take that long to leave the scene, especially if you're a hardened criminal and you know you're about to be in some big trouble. I mean, it just takes a second to get out of a vehicle, and boom, within 5 seconds you could be gone. And we probably need someone to go down there to that area and get us some video of the surroundings, or we could use Google Earth or Google Pro and go back to 2012 when this happened and pull that up and see what routes would have been available to flee the scene. But it would not take long. Like this guy says, they've showed up to wrecks before and the driver's gone. So, people that have been in trouble before are pretty smart, and they know they got to get out of a certain place. And then, of course, the next day when it's on the news and 2 people have passed away, you're going to be in hiding. You're definitely going to do some stuff that you normally wouldn't do. Okay, perfect. All right, so here's some maps and other stuff in the group. So we might not even have to do that. It's already been done probably. And that's great. That's what I really like about this case is people have already been working on it for quite some time, for years. I think what we need to do is make some noise. We need to contact the prosecutor's office. We need to start contacting the governor of Texas. And we need to file some complaints. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll see if we can come up with a game plan that's coordinated, and we will try to make a difference and help Nicole and her family, and also help the family of the victims get real justice. Not what this stuff is right now, which is not justice. This is a bunch of bull. Not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. Supposedly he told law enforcement he had some pictures from after the accident, but I doubt it. I doubt it. All right, let me see if there's anything in here. I assume you guys are, yeah, right here, the sock tossed. And yeah, the shoes in the pictures, they were wedged, like they were stuffed in there, which is also a weird thing if your shoes just come flying off, how they got wedged, but it's all messed up. Absolutely, Nicole's attorneys definitely need to be in the lead, and I know they are very active with this case. Very active. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, not this week, but the week after or the one after that, maybe we can get one of them to come on here, and we can get more. Let's just blur. Get some more information, because we need more information. But anyway, I got to go. I hate to cut it short. An hour and 12 minutes. I was thinking 40 minutes, but that's all right, because these videos I think are important. Go back and watch them. There's a lot of information in these short clips. And this is only the tip of the iceberg, people. There is a lot more than what you just saw today and what you saw last week in what I showed 3 or 4 affidavits last week. This is just a small amount of information that has been uncovered by Nicole's team. And there's another group of armchair detectives out there that have been working on this also. Okay, hold on here. Let's see. All right, the Richard Ruth. I don't have her. Oh, yeah, I don't have a Richard Ruth video. Those 6 videos were the only ones that I have. Crash data that the media has been reporting incorrectly. Group may need to see that so they don't believe the DA story. They will run across it. Yeah, I only have the 6. So was that one that you sent in the email that I got, or is this one in the group? Let me just make sure that's all I got. All right, we'll get it for next time. Perfect. Sounds great. All right, everybody, I got to go. I got to go play Ripper the Rancher. And after this week, the following weeks, I guess, are going to be pretty busy, especially when you guys see this stuff about the next Carol Baskin. I actually made a post about it, I think on Saturday on my personal Facebook page. but I've learned more since then. In that post, I said they kind of reminded me of Carol Baskin or something like that. But I got more information yesterday. I got emails and other things from, I guess, behind the scenes of what's been happening there. And it's just like Carol. Exactly like Carol, bullying people, trying to bully competitors, threaten lawsuits, same stuff that Carol's done, this person's doing out of Texas. So it's absolutely crazy. Just, oh, hold on here. So, do you know about the guy in Texas, Shane? So we might have someone that knows, because I did post it on my Facebook, but I didn't really put much into it. I linked an article where this guy deliberately starved some baby calves to be mean, separated them from their mothers and starved them to death because he was upset with somebody. And if that was the worst of it, it's not even the worst of it. It's bad, and it's still happening where Carol knows that people are watching her. So right now she's being really careful. But this guy in Texas, he's right in the middle of doing all this stuff, and he needs to be exposed. Oh, okay, all right. So Shane does know about the guy in Texas. And it is crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and the guy needs to be exposed for what he's doing. But we'll get to that after we get this noise made for Nicole. So anyway, I gotta run, everybody. Have a nice week. Enjoy the nice warm weather that's coming to the Midwest for a couple of days. And my email is ripperjackmedia@gmail.com. If there's anyone out there in the production business that's wanting to do a documentary about this Nicole Baukus story, obviously you just saw some videos that were made with some professional equipment. If you're interested, shoot me an email at ripperjackmedia@gmail.com, and I will give you the information for the people involved in this case so you can work with them directly. I don't have time to get in the middle of that, but I will pass the information to them. They have documented all of this stuff. They have great videos. The quality of these videos is awesome. So it would be a good time for someone to get in and make a documentary about this. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. Hold on. Yeah, Donna. Yeah, this is true. It is Shane's brother that is being attacked by this Carol Baskin out of Texas person. I recognize the name. It is the person. So they do know about it. And it is their brother. All right, I thought Ryan was doing Survivor or something. Is he I thought I saw something the other day where he was doing Survivor, but I'll when I get done I will well, text me that information, Nosy, and then I'll get to it when I can. All right, everybody, I gotta get. Stay safe out there. I'm Ripper. Well, hold on. Okay. Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's Amazing Race. That's right. That's what it is, T1. Amazing Race. That's what it is. Yeah. But I'll reach out to him. I'll reach out to him and see, and then I'll reach out to Adam Brazil too, because I saw Adam. I think Adam's going to be having a show made as well. And he needs one because he's been fully exonerated too. Thank goodness. But all right, everybody, I'm out of here. Stay safe.